Welcome to Your Business, Your Life with Matt DiFrancesco, your personal financial technician. Whether you've had years of success in your business or just starting out, Highlift Financial can help you create a vision for your business, life, and family, and align these for generational wealth. So as they say, what happens in your life affects your business. And now on to the show. Well, hello and welcome to Your Business, Your Life with me, Matt DiFrancesco. And, I have a little different guest today, I guess, but I think he brings a lot of insights because he's got some great experience in a lot of different areas. So today I've got Jeff Gargas on. He's the COO and he's the co-founder of Teach Better Team, which they're the creators of teachbetter.com, the Grid Method, and Teach Further. And he's also the co-author of a book, Teach Better. And what he does is he works with educators to increase student engagement and improve student success. And he also offers one-on-one coaching to teachers who have a product or an idea that they think can enhance the students' education. So prior to that, he's an entrepreneur. He was the owner of ENI Multimedia, which is an online marketing firm, helped entrepreneurs and small businesses with web design, social media content, and brand awareness, which is kind of the area that we're going to be focusing on today. And prior to this, he was an adjunct professor at Kent State University, and he spent more than 10 years in the music industry, which we never really got a chance to talk about too much, Jeff.
We didn't dive into that. That could be like a whole nother episode. It's a whole other, that's a crazy
exactly.
journey.
And it's actually funny that because I'm a music aficionado, and I have my guitar here. I took lessons for about 3 years, and I just kind of muddle around with it. So I always have people say, "Oh, play something for me." I'm like, no. That's not going to happen. So, but anyway, he's spoken at numerous conferences around the country, and he's successfully promoted more than 500 events, and he's launched 7 businesses in a variety of industries. So I think this variety of background that Jeff brings to the table is going to be something that can provide value because, business is business, whether in the collision industry or we're in any other industry. And a lot of the ideas that I think Jeff's going to bring to the table are going to be very beneficial because, as we know, many shop owners who are great technicians, but struggle sometimes with the business end. So I'm really excited to have Jeff on to kind of provide some insights, just business in general, and how to create a brand and awareness. So Jeff, welcome to Your Business, Your Life.
Man, that was a heck of an intro, man. You kind of set the bar high today.
I do the best I can. So
I'm excited to be here, though, man. Really excited to talk, and if I can share some sort of value, that's awesome. That's a win for me. So I'm excited about it.
Perfect. So, well, let's just kind of dive in because I know, we, as I talked about in the bio, as an entrepreneur and a coach, you talk a lot about building a brand and building a community. Yeah. But like I said, in the collision world, these terms are kind of foreign to shop owners. Like I said, a lot of them are technicians, but as far as, more advanced business knowledge, sometimes they struggle with that. So can you explain what it means to build a brand and then also to build a community around that brand? Because I think that's going to be a very important direction for shop owners to go here in the future.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. And I think brand is something, you hear a lot about branding. You got to build a brand, you got to, brand all your stuff. And what is brand? And I think so often we think of brand, we think of things like our logo, our colors, our uniform, the actual name we pick for a business, right, things like that as a brand. And those are all parts of branding, right? But what your brand actually is the way that people feel about, or the way people feel, the emotional reaction people have to your name, to your logo, when they walk into your shop, when they see your colors. And so we use things like logos and colors and things like that to display our brand, but those things aren't really worth anything without a brand, right? An awesome logo is great, but the thing that makes that logo actually powerful from a business standpoint is the emotional response that triggers in people. I'm gonna use that word trigger, and I understand that like trigger sometimes typically in today's world has like a negative connection to it. But the truth is you can trigger good things, right? You can trigger happiness and excitement and pride and even optimism and positivity. So your brand should be, and the goal should be to have your brand trigger those good things in people. So really you want to think about your brand is it's your reputation, right? So if you're a great technician, you can work on any car and you do a great job and people just know when they walk out of your shop that I'm safe now. That's part of your brand. That's right. That's your brand, right? If they know that I'm going to get a fair estimate and it's going to be accurate and I'm not going to get tricked into anything or sold something that I don't actually need, like that's part of your brand.
Right.
On the reverse side, if they think or feel that you're going to add things on that they don't really need, and you can tell them something needs replaced earlier than it does, and things like that. Like, that's also part of your brand. Your brand go negative. So your brand is that emotional response that people have when they, again, see your logo, walk into your shop, hear your name in a conversation. And the way I kind of think about it is like, it's your reputation. Like, for me, it's, you want to build your brand to the point where, I heard this once, I can't remember who it was. I don't know if it was Gary Vaynerchuk or someone was like, in 20 years or 20 years from now, or I guess it doesn't matter what it is, you're out to eat with some friends or whatever, and my name comes up. So my name could be your shop's name, right?
Right.
And you're not there to defend it. Someone else will. And that's your brand.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Because someone says, no, you're wrong. I know that. I know those people. I know Matt. I know that, like, and they're good people. They do good work. You're not, you know what I mean? That's your brand. You want that. And so then that connects into your community, right? So for me, community, when I say community, it's the people you serve. So this could be your actual community, right? The people that live in your, in and around, around your shop, right? But it's also the people that you interact with and serve virtually, right? Through your website, your online content, things of that nature. And so for me, building a strong brand and strong community go hand in hand, because I believe that's what allows, like, us smaller business owners to compete with the big guys. Right. Like, there's massive corporations that somehow, Matt, we talked about this when we met last week, but somehow always find their way into like everything, right? Because they see a little bit of money and they come, and it makes it really tough for us little guys. Right. And I think that the catch is, like, you're never going to compete with Walmart, right? The Walmart, insert big name here, on price and product availability, right? Like the variety of products, or even the efficiency. But I think it's a lot harder for a Walmart to win people's hearts, right? Yeah. And I think people will surprise you. People pay more money all the time for things because they enjoy the shopping or service experience more. They trust the people that they're the service person or the salesperson, and they like those people. Right. People will go do that. And I think I share this with you. One thing I always joke about with our team, right? We work with teachers, right? We do professional development and stuff for teachers. I always joke that I want to build our brand so strong that if in 10 years we wanted to sell shoes, that school teachers and schools and districts would buy those shoes because they believe and they trust us enough to know, well, Teach Better says these are going to help us, then we know that they're going to help us. And now I always joke, I can figure out how we can actually help them with shoes. But the point is, that's your brand. And I think that's the thing that survives all the other things is your brand. So.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've told this story before. So I have one of my clients who's got a very successful shop, and it's well known within the community. And when COVID hit, he went to his local parochial school. They asked him to come in to be kind of an advisory committee because they were trying to figure out how to move forward in COVID. And so, he's at this meeting, and he's not one of these guys, like most shop owners, like they got to be going, and so he's getting bored. So he kind of gets up and starts walking around the school, and he sees the desks in one of the classroom. And he's like, I wonder if one of that was my old desk there. And then he starts thinking about it, and he's like, what if we built these shields that we could put up, that would kind of encapsulate the kids. And then he's like, but then, it's going to take up some desk space, so I could put accessory pieces on. And so he's had this idea, and then he's like, okay, but he goes, if I make it with plexiglass and it gets bumped or broken, now you've got a jagged edge. Well, he used to race cars. So he went to a buddy of his who he raced with, and they took the material that they used to make race car windshields. And he's like, can you make one of these? He gave him, took a desk down, made the dimensions, and they made one of these shields. And he went out and he sold like 500 of them. All right. And I think it ties into your point, because it wasn't just, it's a great idea, but it was also, I think, his reputation that people then, they trusted him on this because he had built that sense of community around it.
Well, and that's also, I guarantee that, I don't like saying guarantee, but I'm pretty positive that also built his brand as a shop owner too, because now they're like, he's not just a shop owner. He's part of this community. He stepped up when we needed him, and he proved again and again that he's a good person. He was looking out for people. He's smart, clearly. Right. And so that's going to make me, especially if my kid's in school or I'm a teacher, I'm now more likely to go to his shop next time my car needs fixed too.
Exactly.
So that's all part of it, right? That's his brand. His brand became his brand in that moment, whether it might have already been there, but that for sure in that moment stopped being, I'm a car tech guy, and became, I'm someone you come to for help.
Right.
And that's what, right? Isn't that what we want to be if you're a mechanic in your shop, that's what you're the person that people come to when they need help.
Right. Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. I do that all the time. I mean, and even if I'm, I'm not the expert in a certain area because I'm a financial guy. All right. That's what I do. I'm very good at helping people to create visions for their families and then put a plan in place and help them to implement the plan. But the other, I think, piece of value I try to bring to the table is that I've got this network of people, outside people, that when they have a problem that's outside my area of expertise, they can come to me to get them directed to the right person, and I can help coordinate that solution. And I think that's part of trying to build the brand also.
Yeah, you're an I know a guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a mentor of mine tell me that, gosh, probably 10 plus years ago. He's like, you know what I figured out about you? And I'm like, what? I'm like, I don't know what this is going to go with my boss. Goes, you're an I know a guy. And I'm like, sure. He goes, you're always thinking like, how can I connect this guy to this guy or this girl to this guy or this people here to help them? He goes, and you never like think like what's in it for you. You're just trying to connect them. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, huh. Like, so that's kind of part of my brand, right? Is I might not be able to be the one who actually does the work to help you, but I'm still someone you come to for help because, just like you were saying there, Matt, like I can still come to you for help because there's a good chance someone that can help me with my problem.
Right.
And that's well, you talk about your client there, right? He didn't have all the tools and everything he needed. He had to go to someone else.
Exactly.
So his connections, again, that was a great example there. It tied all together. So
yeah, exactly. It's interesting, especially, and you hit, I think, a nail on the head where you talked about, trying to compete with the big boys. And right now in the industry, there's a lot of large consolidators who are looking for profitable shops in very attractive markets and offering good money to buy these shops. But that's probably only going to last for the next year, maybe 2 years. And so here's the independent shop owner going, how am I going to survive? And, the insurance companies drive so much of this business that, again, they're hamstringing these shop owners who want to do quality work and saying, we're only going to pay for this. So now they've got to figure out how to try to evolve and to be able to provide the type of service that they choose to be and also get paid for it, whether it's by an insurance company or by the customer. All right. And that's always the big the argument. Who is the customer? Is it the insurance company or is it the client? My feeling would be it's the client, because if I'm not getting my car back repaired properly, if it's I had a Jetta TDI that I had been in an accident with, and I took it to a shop and they gave it back to me and all these lights were coming on. So I had to send it back. And then they're like, well, we have to send it down to, 40 miles away from me to the VW dealership because they didn't know how to solve it. Came back, still wasn't fixed. It took me 3 visits and I'll never go back there. So I guess that's really, the question I have for you with them trying to differentiate themselves. Why is this so important?
Building the brand in the community so important.
Yeah, building the community. I want to talk a little bit more about that because I think, building the brand, is pretty obvious. I think it's by the quality that they have. But again, now trying to build a community where somebody says, hey, my insurance company is telling me to go to this big consolidator, but I've had a great experience over here. Yeah. Why? Yeah. How do we get them? How do we get those customers to say, no, Mr. Insurance Company, this is where I'm going?
So I actually think not to like repeat, but I think it goes back to the brand, because I just think community and brand go so well together. But I think the insurance agencies, and this is easier said than done, and depending on who they are, right? They have to become part of that community too, and they do, right? Now, depending on what kind of control and how they set up, like the agent may not have a lot of control, but your local insurance agent possibly has a say in who they direct to, possibly can influence that, can advocate for you. And that is built by them being part of your community as well. And why wouldn't they want to be part of your community? They want all those people to be their customers too, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of synergy there. And I think the key is it's both, right? It's both things. I think, going back to the brand thing, the community thing, like, you said it a little bit here. And when we talk too, like the industry has changed, all industries changing, right? We're going to see more changes in all industries over the next 10 years than we've seen in the last 20, just because of the rate at which technology is changing. And I think you shared a stat with like the idea of like what they're projecting, the number of like computer chips and stuff like that in points in cars is just absurd, right? So that's all changing. So my thing is the services and your service model today, like in 10 years, it's not going to be the same. Right. It might not even be recognizable. Yeah. But what and so the model you have right now is not going to survive the next 10 years, period.
Right.
But what can survive is that community and that brand. And if you build that community and you have that connection, like you said, that those people that fight for you and say, well, yeah, my insurance says this, but I'm not. No, Mr. Insurance man, I'm going here because that's the people that take care of me. That will survive. And that also allows you and gives you the grace and the time to evolve and to stumble through the changes and figure it out and learn that, right? And I think insurance is going to go through a similar process as well, because that industry is also getting disrupted a lot. It's become a lot harder to where insurance companies have as much power. Probably doesn't feel that way as a shop owner because there's so much, right? But it's going through a big change because a lot of people figured out what it like that you can do that on a smaller scale. You can do that with less, I guess for lack of a better term, less greed, right? In the industry, and take care of people versus taking care of your bottom line. And I think that's going to help because then those insurance agents and those insurance companies are going to not only want to be, but need to be a part of these communities and connected, right? Because they are the customer for your shop, right?
Right.
Like if I'm an insurance agent and my insurance company is sending all my people to Joe's shop and he does a horrible job, I'm going to lose all my clients.
Right.
Well, any of my clients that have been in accidents, which are the ones that pay me more money, right? Like because I get to raise their insurance rates after that, right? So I want to know that I'm sending people. That's why you get things that are like certified shops. And I know a lot of that is there's money involved too. Right. But eventually, I believe as we move further and further into the world of decentralization and all this stuff, which is a whole other ballgame, but it's going to force some of these things to change too. Yes. And I believe that with all these changes, it's community, it's brand, it's those connections, those networks that are going to survive that type of thing.
Okay. Yeah. You know, and as you were saying that, I was thinking about, I was actually kind of comparing, because I know a lot of teachers, and so I think you can speak very well to this because there's a good number of teachers that are similar to shop owners where maybe they identify the changes need to be made, but they're so afraid because this is the way we've done things forever. Okay. That they get paralyzed. How are some ways that you help teachers and that could translate into shop owners into kind of getting over that paralysis of analysis and then to start to embrace change?
I love that. That's such a good question. For us, it's small changes. So this is actually really, I'm going to try and do short. I don't do short well. So
that's okay.
So like our company, everything started with a framework that we use that we train on called the grid method. Okay. It's a framework for utilizing mastery learning. And it was created by my co-founder, his classroom. And it's insanely powerful. We're seeing just ridiculous results. I mean, we're taking schools from F ratings to B ratings in years. Like it's really incredible. And it works really well, but it's a big shift because it really shifts the idea of what a teacher's job is in the classroom from deliverer of content to facilitator of learning, because the fact of the matter is it's no longer a teacher's job to stand up there and deliver the info because kids can get that from their phone faster and from a billion other sources. It's now their job to help students take that information and learn what they're supposed to from it. And so it puts a lot of the ownership and the control back to the students and less on the teachers, which is a good thing in so many ways, but it's a big shift, right? Because I'm supposed to be in the front of the classroom. I'm supposed to talk to them and share things because I'm the expert and stuff. So what we realized was that even with all this info that said, hey, this is how, like, there's literally decades of data that says that lecturing is not the best practice and that these methods are, but that doesn't make it easy. Yeah. And we realized early on, we're like, wow, okay, some people are ready for this and go that. Others are not ready for this at all. They see it, but it scares the heck out of them. And so we started going, okay, how do we break this down into really, really small pieces, really inch by inch steps? And it goes into our tagline, our motto is better today than you were yesterday, better tomorrow than you were today. And what we always harp on is, hey, we're saying better. One, we're not saying perfect. And we're also not saying better by a long margin, right? Little teeny things. What little things can we do to go, right? So for teachers, it's maybe I just change the way that I'm assessing and I stop looking at as assessment or grading at the end point, but rather it's actually data to help me know what I should teach them next versus cutting them off. This is how smart you are now and you're done. It's, oh no, I'm using how you did on this quiz to tell me where your gaps are and what I need to do for the future, or little things like that, changing the way I look at grades or using some technology to make things more efficient. Like it's little steps versus I'm going to change everything. And we found that works incredibly well. Oh, I think it's the same when you look at businesses looking to shift from the traditional types of marketing and sales, right? It used to be billboards and ads and stuff like that. Now it's, well, should I be on social media? Should I be late? It's all these different things.
Yep.
And the data we get from them that we can look at is different. So it's scary. It's not as easy to measure sometimes. Mm-hmm. It's little things, right? It's the little thing of like, okay, we're not going to change everything, but maybe we're going to do some Facebook stuff, or maybe we're going to do some social media stuff. We're not going to go crazy, but maybe we'll do some videos on YouTube of how to understand your car better, so you know when to bring it in. So little things like that, right?
Right.
So I think it all comes down to, it's, for lack of a better term, baby steps.
Yeah.
Like just a little bit of time. But I think it starts with recognizing that the world and progress doesn't care about your nostalgia and like whether you wanted to change or not. It's going to change. It's just the reality of it. It's a matter of how soon it's going to change, and are you going to be there? And I think so often we see people who appear to be fortune tellers, seeing the changes coming. And if you really dig in it, they didn't necessarily see the changes coming. They saw the changes already happening, and they decided not to fight it, and they went with it. And those are the guys and gals that win, in my opinion.
Right.
And so small changes, it doesn't have to be crazy. It's a lot easier when it's there, and it's a lot less scary, right? Because you can try and mess up, and it's not going to ruin everything, right? So if you mess up on some Facebook ads or Google ad campaigns, it's okay, because you're still doing the postcards and the commercials locally and stuff like that, right? If you mess up on a couple videos, whatever, that's okay, because you're just testing it. So I think it's recognizing it and just baby steps. I'm gonna stuck with baby steps. There's a lot. I think that works.
Yeah, and I think you're right, because I kind of look at my, kind of my evolution, even in financial services, and it was really baby steps. I always remember there was a motivational speaker I heard years and years ago, a guy named Morris Goodman, and he used to always say, "Inch by inch, it's a cinch. Yard by yard, it's hard." And I think sometimes when we look at change, we think we have to make these massive changes, but maybe it's little steps at a time, like you said. And I think that's what I've been able to do. I went from traditional wirehouse financial services to, starting to focus on the family business, which then evolved into starting my independent shop, which then went to going RIA, to then focusing on, collision shop owners. And it was just in little increments, but you can chew on those things, but some of it is the experimentation,
Absolutely. 100%.
A funny story. I had, so my marketing team said they want to run this email campaign. And so they got this list and they sent it out to all these different collision shop owners. And one was, hey, answer this survey and we'll buy your shop a dozen donuts. Okay. And then there was another one that had, schedule a 30-minute intro call and we'll buy your shop lunch. We got zero response. Zero. So anyway, I'm talking to my coach. I'm telling him about this, and he gets thinking. He goes, why don't we use reciprocity in the correct way? And he said, what if you sent them a dozen donuts first? So I did this. So I pulled a list of shops, and it was on a Friday, and I went on Grubhub and ordered a dozen donuts to 10 of them. And on Grubhub, you get the notification when they're delivered, and get to deliver it, call them up, say, hey, I'm Matt DiFrancesco from High Live Financial. I'm the guy who sent you the donuts. I had conversations with every single one of them. And again, it took some experimentation to do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But I have in my morning ritual, one of my power phrases is, let's get uncomfortable today. And I think we just need to kind of keep the attitude that let's get a little uncomfortable every day, just a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, and that's the key, right? It's just a little bit. I love that story though, because so many people who were used to traditional type stuff maybe didn't believe as much in email marketing would have went, well, this obviously doesn't work. I already knew that, because they let maybe the initial biases do that, versus going, wait a minute, okay, nope, I'm gonna this. Clearly, all the data supports that email marketing is still one of the best marketing tactics you can have, right? But by a long shot. So it's okay, I'm going to put some effort in. So I love the fact that you were like, well, that didn't work. So let me instead make the purchase first, right? So you actually chose the more expensive route potentially, right, to do it, but it worked, right? Because for me, that hits so hard home, because you helped them first. So we built everything. I'm a huge believer in help versus sell. Yeah. So we focus everything on helping. So that's why there's just, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of things on our site that you can get for free value. When we built our business originally with Chad, I told him, I want to build our business so that someone could come to our website, take the free course, download blogs, ask questions, do it, and effectively run the grid method in their classroom without ever paying us a dime.
Wow.
And he was literally like, I thought you said we were going to make money. And I said, yeah, if we do that enough times, people will want to work with us.
Right.
And they will gladly pay us for what we do, because they'll say, man, we can do this, but it'd be a whole lot better with Chad and Jeff, or it would be more efficient, or I could do it on a bigger scale with Chad and Jeff, or I just really like these guys and I got some funding. So, so I'm not telling shop owners to give away all their stuff, but I'm saying it's the idea of what you did there is you switched from, hey, can you do something for me? And then I'll give you something, to let me do something nice for you. You already have it. You can say no to me now, and you still got the donuts.
Exactly.
Just hang up on me.
Right.
But and for them, that eases it. They're no longer on guard. They're like, oh, right. Yeah, I can just hang up on you. I already ate the donuts. I already gone, dude. Like, you got nothing on me right now. Yeah. You gave them the leverage, and that made them ease up. So now they're like, oh yeah, I'll share it with you. Like, why not? Like,
right.
So now I'm going to give you everything you wanted. So it's just, to me, that's so powerful. So I love that story.
Thinking about the collision industry, I mean, I think it's simple things like, a lot of times insurance companies, will force the shop owner to do, photo estimates. All right. Mm-hmm. So you take a picture and then you send them in the insurance company and said, okay, here's what we're paying for. Problem is, and every shop owner knows this, you don't know what the damage is until you get that car apart.
Yeah.
And that's a real problem. And so, and I've had a couple other guests that have talked about how, setting the expectation with the customer and saying, look, we're going to do these photos, but we want to tear the car apart and really get, and we'll fight for you with the insurance company. Mm-hmm. We'll fight for you, because a lot of times the insurance companies say, we'll only pay this. And the shop owner, or actually the customer, can come back and say, well, show me in the policy where this is not covered. So for example, a shop owner wants to use the insurance company wants them to use an aftermarket part, but yet the shop owner is like, no, we really need to use the MSO's part. Mm-hmm. Okay. First off, the customer can always go back to the insurance company and says, look, show me in your policy where it states that I cannot use manufacturer parts. But mm-hmm. I think the next step, and this is where, maybe it's taking some risk, where the shop owner does that for the customer.
Sure. Or educate your customers before it even happens.
Right.
And this is where like content marketing comes in, right? This is where making videos and ebooks and all these things that you're giving away that free value for. And of course, you have to estimate whether you have the capacity to do that as a shop owner, but like educating your community on, hey, this is how this process works. I hope you never get in an accident and you never have to do this. But if you do, I hope you bring it to us. And just so you know, this is what to look for. This is your rights. Here's how insurance companies work. And this is why, not vilifying the insurance companies, but noting that, hey, look, their job is to make money. Like, they want you to use the cheapest parts. However, that doesn't mean you always have to, right?
Right.
And so here's how you do that. Here's how we can help, or how your shop can help, or this is what you can do. Here's the process. This is why we like to take the thing apart before we take pictures. So if that happens, and the thing is, you educate them in a sense of not come see us.
Right.
It's a, hey, whether you come to us or anyone else, this is what you should be thinking about. This is how this process works, because then they're going to come to you. I love looking back at YouTube. I remember when YouTube was nothing but like cat videos. Like there were no tutorials on there, right? Nothing until Home Depot started doing it. Home Depot, they're one of the first big brands that started doing it. Okay. They started doing things like how to install a toilet.
Yep.
And the coolest thing about it is, if you look back to their very early videos where they're installing toilets, there were no Home Depot branded. They wore an orange, their orange, what is it, aprons? Right, they wear?
Yeah.
But not with the logo on it.
Oh,
just Tom, the plumber guy that works for Home Depot, putting a toilet. But if I'm watching that video because I'm going to install my toilet, and I went, oh man, I need to buy a toilet. I don't have wrenches because I just got, just moved out on my own. I don't have
Yeah.
Who do you think I'm going to?
Yeah.
The guy who just told me how to do it. And that's how that works, right? So it's the same with the shop. It's not selling. It's, hey, here's what's to think about. And if I'm going, oh man, I'm in an accident. Oh, you know what? Don't let him put in those cheap parts. I can fight for myself. Who taught me that? Oh, Joe's Auto did. I'm going to Joe.
Right.
Because I already trust him. Yeah. Before I ever needed him. Like, that's, to me, that's community. When they need you, they think of you, because and for me, and this is just me, because I never sold you anything.
Right.
I just gave you value, so that then when you need something, you came to me because you thought of me, because you like me, and I don't sell you anything.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't mean to keep going on this whole sell thing, but I used to be in the fast food industry, and it was hilarious because I worked in Arby's, and still love the Arby's Corporation. And we had the greeting, like when people pull up to the drive-thru, we would say, "Welcome to Arby's. What can I get for you today?" 9 out of 10 people that came through, Matt, responded with, "No, thanks, I'm good." Because every other restaurant says, "Hi, welcome to so-and-so. Would you like a..." They're selling you from the second pull up. They would literally answer, "No, thanks, I'm good." And we'd have to be like, "Great to hear that you're great. I'm good too. What can I get for you today?" And they're like, "Oh crap, like you didn't sell me. I just responded that way." It's just, people are sold everywhere. So if you're the people that don't do that and you educate them instead, they're going to want to work with you.
That's exactly right.
This is reality. Are some people going to take that and go somewhere else? Yep, they sure are. They're going to go somewhere else potentially anyway.
Yeah.
So like, you know what I mean? So that's community.
My coach talks about that a lot, is this idea of abundance versus scarcity. And I think too many times as business owners, we think that there's this finite universe of customers and clients that we can have. And it really isn't. I mean, we only need so many. We've only got so much capacity. Whether we're, whether we're a shop and we only have X number of bays, or I'm an individual working with clients, or, working with teachers, there's only so much capacity that we have. So we don't need everybody. And I think when we start having,
you couldn't handle everybody.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. But when you have if you have more of a mindset of abundance, you're much more likely, I think it calms you.
Yeah. It's crazy to think that something that used to boggle my mind when I was younger, back when malls were a thing. Malls are kind of on the way out.
Yeah.
But and from a shop owner's perspective, you ever remember going driving to mall at 2 PM and seeing the parking lot? There were thousands and thousands and thousands of cars at 2 PM when most people are working. And that was I never realized, I'm like, wow, there are a lot of people and there are a lot of cars just in my city. Not even then you go, okay, what about my state? And you can't even fathom the number of cars that are on the road.
Yeah.
There's plenty of business.
That's right.
It's, if you feel like you're hurting, it's because they're just not coming to you. So you got to figure out why not, and how do you fix that? How do you educate them? How do you win them? Because, the reality is there's some people that are getting business that aren't doing the right things. And we often look and go, oh, that means I should do those. No, eventually they're going to get found out and they're going to go out of business. Right. Because the community is going to say, no, don't go to those. He's creepy, or he tries to trick you, or they upped my sale. It cost me 3 times as much because they added on 3 things that I didn't really need. It's about building that trust and transparency. And again, I keep going, that's your brand and that's your community. Right. And I think there's a lot you can do. I think there's a lot of space in the specific to the industry of shop owners and stuff. There's a lot of creative spaces there that aren't tapped yet, that you can stand out on the way that you share your value and knowledge, content, stuff like that. I think there's a lot there. Yeah. People can have some fun with. So within their capacity, of course. Oh, of course. And, and I think that's really a lot of the guests that I've been talking with, especially that are specifically in the industry. We've been talking about this idea of how shop owners need to become more entrepreneurial. And sometimes that scares them, but it's really just a mindset shift and thinking, how can I do something differently? So it's pretty cool. But anyway, it's not always about how do I build a big, massive company, right? How do I just do what I'm doing a little bit better tomorrow? That's right. Inch by inch is a cinch, right? Absolutely. Yes. I love it. So, well, hey, Jeff, just in closing here, because I know we're at time, how can the audience find you? Sure. So everything, connect with the teams. It's just teachbetter.com. We make it pretty simple. The team is at Teach Better Team on every social network that's out there. I'm active on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. So Twitter, I'm just at Jeff Gargas. Okay. So JEFFGARGAS. At Instagram, there's a underscore there. It's at _ Jeff Gargas. And then on TikTok, I'm Jeff Gargas as well. So I love the connects of, anybody's listening and says, man, I have some ideas and stuff. You want to grab a virtual cup of coffee and just brainstorm how your shop can build this kind of brand and stuff like that, I'm all for it. So that's great. That's great. And we'll have all this in the show notes anyway. Absolutely. So it'll be easy to remember, but I want to, Jeff, this was awesome. I think we could just go on and on with a lot of this stuff, Agree. But I try to keep this in biteable chunks for the audience. So thank you for being on. The last thanks always goes out to you, the audience. Thank you for listening to Your Business, Your Life with me, Matt DiFrancesco. If you've not subscribed to the podcast, please click the subscribe
subscribe now button below. And that way, when a new episode comes out, you can easily download it to any device you want. And also it makes it easy to share with your family and friends. And also, if you like the content that we have, please give us a 5-star review. That way we can get to more listeners. So again, I want to thank you for listening. And from all of us here at High Lift Financial, thanks for listening. Make this every day your best day, and let's make things happen. So take care and God bless. Hey, I really want to thank you for listening to the Your Business, Your Life podcast. If you want to be notified when new episodes become available, click the subscribe button below.
The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of High Lift Financial. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investment, legal, or tax advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified professional with any questions you may have regarding your business or personal planning. DiFrancesco Financial Concierge, LLC, DBA High Lift Financial, is a registered investment advisor. Registration with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission or any state security authority does not imply a certain level of skill or training.